Welcome back, everyone, to another Tech Talk Tuesday with me, Nysa. Welcome back to Orbtronics Tech Talk Tuesday. And this Tech Talk Tuesday is actually a really special one. This is our first virtual Tech Talk ever. And it's also the first time that we're having a Tech Talk Tuesday hosted from the Innovation Hub that we've recently launched at the Rodney Bay Commercial Center, right across from Harvard Club here in St. Lucia. So without further ado, though, I would like to welcome our guest today, Miss Janieve Lamar from IBM. And Janieve, you can give us a little bit more about yourself. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, and then we'll get right into it.
Sure. Well, first off, thank you so much for having me, Lisa. I'm honored to be the first virtual guest. It's a pleasure to be here having this conversation with you. So, as you said, yes, my name is Janieve Lamar, everyone. Currently, with IBM. I'm a customer success technical specialist and data and AI architect. So, my emphasis is on working with clients in that AI MLOps space and helping them successfully adopt and adopt IBM technology. So again, it's my pleasure. I am from St. Lucia. So I am really looking forward to having this conversation with Orbtronics. I love the work that we're doing. I'm a fan and, I look forward to what's to come.
Yes, yes, yes. So thank you so much for joining us. And I guess we'll start right at the beginning. You said you're St. Lucian. What secondary school did you attend? I think I have one in mind because there can only be one. But what secondary school did you attend? And what did you originally envision your career would be?
Sure, Lisa. So I attended St. Joseph's Convent Secondary School. So yes, quick and go. Um, at St. Joseph's Convent, in the later forms, we have to select our subjects. So I had an emphasis in sciences because originally I wanted to be a doctor, right? I wanted to study medicine. So things changed, evidently. That's not the case. And I was really true to myself and to my journey and being attentive to my passions, to my strengths. And it's all led me to tech.
Okay, okay. So what shifted the motivation from science to more technology?
So let me give a little bit of background.
Yeah.
So I was a starter, right? I did biology, chemistry, mathematics emphasis, with hopes of pursuing medicine. I moved over to the United States in 2011 to pursue my degree at Midwestern State University in Wichita Falls, Texas, right? So I was pre-med. That was my major, biology pre-med. So then I had planned on going to med school thereafter. But very early in my journey, I would say in my first, but definitely by the second semester, I realized that I was not really as drawn to medicine. The background biology courses, it was a lot of reading and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm thinking my mind was more mathematically inclined, right? More problem solving oriented, solution oriented. So I decided to kind of listen to myself, and my heart was really with chemistry, right? So I switched majors in about my second semester, very early in my second semester to chemistry. And that's ultimately what I got my degree in. I worked as a chemist for about 6 years in total before realizing that really, ultimately, my passion was data science and tech in general. So when I was working as a chemist, a position opened at the company I was with at the time called Authentics. It was a solutions engineer role where I would be working hand in hand with the data analytics team. And it was there that I saw, a world of opportunities. I was very excited about the work, very passionate about it. And I began, my journey into tech that way.
Wow. So from a chemist to tech, that's really impressive. Uh, so you're currently doing some amazing work at IBM. Can you break down a little bit more your role as a data and AI architect? What does that actually look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I work with clients hand in hand in helping them implement the technology portfolio that they purchased from IBM. So clients come with us, and I've worked, ever since joining IBM, I worked first and foremost as a delivery consultant, and then most recently about August of last year, moving into that customer success space. So I've always been technically oriented. So my job as a data and AI architect is to help clients architect, install, configure, and onboard technology. So help them operationalize AI, right? I also I come from with my data science expertise, being an expert certified data scientist and a master data scientist with the Open Group. I leverage my expertise in helping them onboard their use cases, right? So any work that they're doing in the data science arena, I always make sure to have that as an added perk, right? And leverage my skills there to help them along.
Got you, got you. So what excites you most about the work that you're doing right now with global clients?
Well, Nisa, I would say the impact, right? Now is a very exciting time in to be working in technology and more specifically in AI. So a lot of the projects that I'm working on, I'm seeing the far-reaching impacts from a global perspective, right? So I've worked with clients in education, in healthcare, in the judiciary system. I've worked with state and local governments. I've worked with Fortune 50 enterprises, right? So coming with that breadth of experience and seeing really how businesses, enterprises, and organizations are able to be transformed with AI really drives my passion, right? And I would say that the opportunity is massive, right? And getting the teams to align on a strategy and seeing projects driven to completion brings me joy. And some of the feedback I've heard from my clients, for example, is things like, this would have taken us several months, maybe to a year to complete, but leveraging the technology and, the best practices that you've provided, it's taking us a matter of days. So when we look at things from an ROI perspective, from a productivity perspective, efficiency, driving profitability, the world of opportunities out there, and that really what excites me most.
Got you, got you, got you. And so I think when we're talking about efficiency, that brings up a major thing because there's a gap. I think there's always been a gap in efficiency locally in St. Lucia and in the Caribbean. Where do you see the biggest gaps or opportunities for innovation locally?
Well, I believe, Nisa, we should be thinking about going digital, right?
Mm.
That should be our mindset and how we can incorporate AI. So the thing about it is people are always, fearful of things that maybe they are, there's a lot of uncertainty around when you think about it, right? So I think there's massive opportunity there. To think of new ways of doing things, different systems, different approaches, leveraging technology, incorporating an AI first mindset, I think is critical. And I believe that in St. Lucia in particular, right? Because there you can start small. And that's how I work with my clients. I say, hey, let's go with the low hanging fruit. So in St. Lucia, I believe that, even from a small business perspective, people can seek to, revolutionize ways of doing things. Like how can we do this process more efficiently? How can we leverage AI? And it might sound scary, but there are ways that you can get started small. There's a wealth of tools available, right? It's just being open to a different mindset. And that is one of the most challenging things from my experience working with clients, the mindset shift, the fear of, stepping out into the unknown, stepping out of the comfort zone and the norm in terms of how we normally operate. That's one of the so we have the technological challenges that will always be there, but I think equally and probably even more importantly is the human aspect, right? So I believe, yeah, that's kind of where I see things.
Yeah, a change in mindset, definitely. I agree 100%. Do you have any tech trends though that you believe will shape the Caribbean over the next 5 to 10 years? What do you think will impact us?
Well, I definitely think that we should be seeking to leverage Gen AI, right?
Okay.
Emerging technologies. We have a wealth of different platforms available. So, if you, for example, in marketing, you should think of ways of how you can incorporate AI into in your work. Like, the old school way is spending a lot of time, getting the different campaigns out there, the emails, and a lot of manual effort. Now you can leverage prompts, right? Leverage all the Gen AI platforms, right? And say, in a short way what you want to achieve and have, the AI do the heavy lifting for you. So that's one way that I think, and I think a lot of people are exploring that. But I think, getting that out there and how easy it is to really achieve is critical so that we will drive adoption.
Okay, yeah, I got you. Uh, from your vantage point, we're talking a lot about AI. What should we really be paying attention to in the AI space? Is it generative AI? Is there something specific that you think we definitely need to be paying more attention to?
I think so. AI in itself is a really broad and vast topic, right?
Yeah.
And in socializing it, right? In beginning conversations about AI, I think it's critical to have the approach of, okay, where do we start, right? With AI. And one of the obviously the fundamental building blocks of AI, what is it? Data. We need data, right? So when we start from this approach, right, we look at all of the tools necessary to get to that point where we have fully automated systems, where we're leveraging assistants and agents, right, at the top of the stack. We have to start at the bottom and say, okay, how is our data infrastructure? Okay, how is our data quality, our data privacy, etc. Can we leverage this data to build machine learning models, right? So you have that traditional AI component, right, to make predictions. How can we leverage this data to, build, just automation? How can we? I think that is where we really start educating people into what's required, and also educating them as to, well, AI is something, right, that's developed that requires guardrails, right? So from our perspective, from the human perspective, what can we do to make sure that we safely implement AI, right? So from building teams that are diverse, that work on AI, making sure the data is free from bias, and all of these things kind of factor into, this is where we start. And letting them know the art of what's possible so that we can set ourselves up for success in the future.
Mm. And now I think one thing that you're really passionate about is responsible AI. Why is that so important right now?
Oh, Nisa, it is so, so critical, right? Ethical and responsible AI, right? When you look at it, AI, whether you know it or not, you interact with AI on a daily basis, right? So the potential for AI to scale, you know, societal ills like disparities in terms of resources and for underrepresented groups, etc.
Yeah.
That potential is enormous. So we have, as AI builders, a real fundamental responsibility to ensure that there is trust, transparency, fairness, robustness in the AI systems that we build because of just the far-reaching impact. AI, for example, is being leveraged in, college admissions processes. It's being leveraged for mortgage applications, things that really have deep and sustaining impacts on the lives of individuals. So because of that, we should be cognizant of that fact and responsible, right, in implementing AI.
Yeah, got you. I agree 100%. So how do we address algorithmic bias, especially in culturally diverse societies like ours in St. Lucia?
Mhm. How do we address, like, how do we ensure? You mean how do we ensure that it's free from bias?
Yes, from the bias.
So yeah, as I was saying, it's a process that starts with the teams, making sure you have diverse teams and diverse perspectives in
Okay.
building these systems, making sure that your data collection process is free from bias, ensuring that you have, everything collectively um intact from that building point. But
Okay.
also, let's say you have built a model, you have the responsibility to kind of monitor that model's performance, right? So is it drifting? Do we have to set up quality control measures, right? From a fairness, explainability perspective, so that we can deep dive and see if there's any bias in these systems over time, because we know there's drift. So how is it performing in production? So we have to really have a really sound mindset and perspective on this topic, right? So it's important in the before, during, and after.
Oh, got you. Yes, thank you so much. And so I think moving away from tech and more into another aspect of your life, as a woman navigating tech, what are some of the key challenges that you faced, and how did you navigate them?
Great question, Nisa. So as a woman in tech and a Caribbean woman at that,
Okay.
because I've always stayed true to who I am and I proudly represent as such, right? I introduce myself first and foremost as Saint Lucian. And, it has been quite the journey, I would say, navigating tech because you know that tech is a very male dominated field. And with that, there have been several times where I've been the only woman in the room of, let's say, 50. I've been the only woman on a team of 14 plus, right? So I guess from my perspective, it kind of makes me self-aware, self-conscious, I would say, self-conscious. And I'm aware that I have a responsibility. Okay. So in the sense that what's the challenge? Well, you know, I guess maybe some imposter syndrome when I was just starting. Like, oh my gosh, like I'm the only one here, and certainly a lot of the time only woman of color. So that let's add that element as well. Um, so, but I on the contrary, and I guess on the positive side, I see it as an opportunity, right? Because I can set the narrative, being the only woman or the first woman, right? I can set the narrative that we are competent, that we deserve a seat at the table, that we are, worthy, and that we are fully capable, and not only capable but exceptional. So by showing up and doing my best and really driving results and success, then I have I guess the opportunity of painting that narrative of women in tech and the skills that are unique to us as women that we can leverage.
Yeah, the things that only we can do. That is very right.
Yeah.
What are some barriers Caribbean professionals face in breaking into global tech roles?
So Anissa, I quite interestingly, I read a quote by one of the senior IBM execs that basically challenged us to revolutionize, sorry, how we use the word barriers, right? So in adopting a mindset of confidence and a can-do mentality,
Yeah.
I believe that it's critical to operate as if there are no barriers, right? So I think that is where I'm shifting, right? Instead of saying, okay, what are the barriers? I'm like, there's no barriers. Though there's a world of possibility out there. And that really, gives me that added boost of energy and confidence where I can just focus on the job, right? Focus on what's necessary and do my best, succeed, and just blow it out of the park. So that's what I think that needs to be focused on, because I think at the end of the day, regardless of the barriers that exist, results speak for themselves. And we are people, Caribbean people, we know we strive for excellence. That's in our fabric, right? So I believe that we can leverage that, we can show up, and there are no barriers to be mindful of.
Yeah, show up and show out. I
Show up
agree.
and show out. Exactly.
What advice would you give to a young person listening right now who wants to work at IBM or a similar tech giant?
I would say do it scared, you know take the necessary steps, because we all have that internal, I guess, mental battle that we think certain things, oh, we're not enough, or will I ever get there. I would say act as if you already have the job, right? You have to first know what's required, right? Obviously you have to have the technical acumen, you have to build your skills, your knowledge, and make sure that you are the best at what you do, right? But step out with confidence. Don't be afraid of failure. I've failed many times, right? Personally, professionally, it's part of life. We have failures, but we have to adopt a mindset of continuous improvement, right? So there's this fail fast, fail forward, fail often, or whatever order it's said in, right? So failures are stepping stones. We learn so much when we fail. So don't be afraid of that. Um, as well, confidence. If you cannot convince yourself, you definitely won't convince anyone else. So really, but do the necessary work. Do the necessary work so that you have the confidence to get to where you want to be. Stay true to yourself. And be open to discovering along the way your passions. Slow down, be intentional, right? So, I had a career pivot, right? So I went from medicine as aspirations to chemistry to finally discovering my home in tech. So if you don't have it figured out from the beginning, it's okay, right? So just stay true to yourself, pursue your passions, do your best, show up, be confident.
Wow, thank you so much, Janine. Those were some extremely wise words. Thank you so much for joining us at this Tech Talk Tuesday. Really a true Caribbean voice in global AI innovation. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for joining us, our audience. Keep in mind to follow us at Optronics Ltd on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and yes, see you next time.
Thank you guys. It was a pleasure.